A lot of people think shyness and anxiety are the same thing, but one is a personality trait and the other is a protection system. Your That protection system that your brain creates when it thinks something might go wrong. So how do we tell the difference? Let's go over that today.
Welcome to the Stepping Out of Stuck podcast. I'm your host, Bonnie Brindle, the Anxiety Avenger,
And I'm Ted Simmons, the superhero Shyness.
and together
Help you to get unstuck.
so let's get after it.
So Bonnie, what tell me about anxiety? Because anxiety and shyness are not exactly the same thing, um,
Now,
but they're very related in what they do, right?
yeah.
So let's talk about that today. What?
I've been thinking about this a lot since we started this podcast because
Mhm.
shyness and anxiety are connected. Some people who are shy are also anxious. Some people who are anxious are also shy,
Mhm.
but they don't always go together. And I've been kind of racking my brain about this. Like, what is the difference exactly? Because I don't consider myself a shy person at this age,
Mhm.
as an adult. I'm not. But I always have to, be on guard for anxiety popping up. But something that I thought about today is this. Shyness seems to be always socially related, right? When you're feeling shy, isn't that about other people being around or having to interact?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I would agree with that.
Okay. Because anxiety is not always social. And I think
Mm.
that's the I've been looking for to figure out how are they actually different.
Hmm.
When I have dealt in the past with panic attacks and agoraphobia, and there's a claustrophobic level to it. So, like if I'm in a grocery store and I started feeling panicky and I needed to get out, it doesn't really have anything to do with any of the other people that are there. It's all
Hmm.
internal, right? I just need to get out.
Hmm.
So, yeah, so it took me a while to kind of come to this, that really the difference is anxiety isn't always social. Can be, definitely. Like I don't want to be seen doing something when I'm having a panic attack sometimes. I don't want to be seen like having throwing up or like
Hmm.
feel like I'm going to die or or my face getting super red or anything like that. So
Hmm.
that's a social aspect, but sometimes it's just internal. It doesn't matter who's there or what's happening. It's just inside me. Hmm.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Huh. I guess I would say that shyness also has aspects of anxiety in it, right? Because I can get with being shy, I can worry about what's going to happen and what could happen and all of these scenarios in my head of, what are the possibilities if I do this thing, which in itself is part of being anxious, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So yeah, so shyness has a really strong anxiety component.
Mm,
But again,
okay.
it's always right. If it's shyness, and you get a loop going in your head, like somebody might bully me, or I might look stupid, or the worry factor, the what ifs, that's
Hmm.
all anxiety. But in the shyness, it's always related to someone else judging you, isn't it?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
and you're always looking for the escape and protecting yourself from actually being seen
Hmm.
or being attacked or being letting any kind of control surface available for anybody to do anything with.
Yeah. Okay. So that's so interesting. That is a defining space for us right there. At least we know that.
Hmm.
Shyness is always social and often mixed with anxiety.
Hmm.
Anxiety can be social, or it can be just completely internal, whether people are there or not. And that's often based on the claustrophobic element of it, of anxiety.
Right.
An
Yeah.
agoraphobia, a person with agoraphobia, like I have dealt with, feeling stuck and needing to just get out, like out of a building or, out of a plane or off a
Oh yeah.
train or something, like just got to get out of there. So there's a claustrophobic component to it.
One of the things that interested me was that, we were talking a little bit about this earlier, and you had mentioned going to the movies
Hmm.
and what a different experience that was between the two of us. I mean, for going to the movies for me is like an escape. I can hide in the darkness, I can watch the movie, I can disappear into the story.
Mm.
But for you, your story was completely different, right?
Yes, movies were once a nightmare because I could not sit in a crowd of people and
Hmm.
feel like I have to get out of here right now. So, um, yeah, for a while I couldn't go to a movie at all. And then there were times when I would be in a movie and have to sit on the aisle, even at, like the back row. So I always had an escape route without having
Hmm.
to climb all over people. Um, yeah, so you would think I can see that with Shyness. You're in the dark and nobody can bother you and you get lost in the story. I'm there like, constantly looking at the environment and making sure I know where the bathrooms are and the exits are and how can I get out of here without making a scene. That's the social piece, if that was on my mind, but it isn't always. It's
Hmm.
just getting out as fast as I can. So, yeah, movies, not so much.
Yeah. That and for me, I would assume that going to the movies for you would have been easier because you're not interacting with people, but just all of those things just made it impossible,
Right.
which is one of
It's
those,
not about shyness.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting in how those are different.
So when you were a kid,
Mhm.
how did shyness show up for you when you were a kid?
Oh, I constantly watched out for any kind of social situation. If you had anything where you had to interact with somebody or, you know, say something to the class or anything like that, I was invisible as much as I could be. The I guess one of the hard parts of that is that you don't want to stand out, so you don't want any clothes that are different. You don't want any other things that would call out to you, like being in a red car in traffic is like, or a yellow car in traffic. you know Everyone notices that red or yellow car, right? You don't want to be that red or yellow car. You want to be that gray car that blends in with everything else.
Oh, wow. So it must have been hard to make friends, was it?
Uh, yes, yes. Unless you found some other shy person who was hiding out in the corner, then you had something to relate about. But yeah, you didn't. You, you had to tread carefully on sharing anything or saying anything or doing anything. So yeah, it was very lonely.
It must have been really lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, as a kid, a younger kid, I don't remember being really anxious. I know I
Mm-hmm.
had to have been,
Mm-hmm.
but I had a lot of friends and I was really outward. Like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have those worry like in elementary school in kickball, other kids were afraid of me. And a dodgeball. That's what I was thinking. Dodgeball. Yeah, other kids were
Mm-hmm.
afraid of me, except for the boys. The girls were definitely like, "Oh God, she's on whose team?"
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I had a lot of friends, and there was a lot of interaction. So that anxiety in that way, again, it wasn't a social thing. When it really started to develop, though, was I was in my teens.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. And I
Interesting.
was dealing with the way my family was behaving. My parents were behaving in a way
Mm-hmm.
that was really uncomfortable, and I felt like I needed to be on guard all the time. And then growing into a teenage girl, especially, um, I attracted attention that I didn't want, especially from older men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that made me anxious. So I guess that's a social layer of it, but
Would
it was made me want to hide myself.
And that's using different words, right? I mean, it would almost be you're shying away from older men because of how they looked at you,
Mhm.
but it was, in the driver in there was anxiousness, right?
Yeah, fear.
Fear. And I think that's a binder that binds both of them together, is because we both feared things,
Yeah.
and we were both anxious about things, to deal with interactions of different kinds.
Yeah. So it's interesting how shyness and anxiety kind of all mix together,
Hmm.
but there really are some very stark differences. Eh, So, as a shy person,
Hmm.
what, let's organize this
Hmm.
for ourselves and our listener. What was your basic rule?
Oh,
What rule did you have around shyness?
just avoid interaction at all cost. I mean, that was my, you know, um, just don't get involved. I mean,
Mm.
that was my main rule, is just, um, don't be seen, don't be available.
Okay. I see that. I didn't feel that, but I felt more
Mhm.
like anxiety was more like if I put myself out into this situation, can I follow through? Like
Mhm.
I have a lot of big ideas and things that I
Mhm.
want to try and places I want to go and if I start this, can I finish it? And that's more about myself, like how I perceive that.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that it really stopped me in places from realizing my potential. Like
Mhm.
um, in my early 20s, I I did an associate's degree in veterinary technology, and I was a veterinary technician for a couple of years. And
Mhm.
when one of my friends that worked at the vet clinic with me decided she was going to go back to school, she wanted to go to Tufts to become a vet, and being a vet was something I definitely wanted to do.
Mhm.
But my anxiety at the time came up more as imposter syndrome. Like, you're not smart enough. You don't
Right.
have what it takes to do this. You wouldn't follow through. You'd never be able to figure out financially how to do it. And it was really easy to talk myself out of it. But that was all internal. No one ever heard me say any of those things. No one
Mhm.
had any idea I thought those things. I was just, yeah, well, that's great. You go off and go to vet school, and I'm going to do something else. But it was all about imposter syndrome, and it's all internal.
Mhm. Mhm. No, that's, one of the things I realized is that it takes a lot of time to try and figure those things out.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we don't realize that we're doing it at the moment.
Mm-mm.
When we go back and we look at it, we're just like, oh, that's of course what I was
That's
doing.
what we were doing.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. We just thought we were, taking care of ourselves at the time.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
but yeah, they are so different. So how to break these, how can we help our listener to break these patterns if they're dealing with the social aspects of shyness and the mixed aspects of anxiety? What can we help them try to do to move forward?
To me, it was kind of like going through and challenging myself on
Mm-hmm.
various different things.
Mm-hmm.
Going through and, just realizing that I didn't want to, um, almost, let's see, let me think on that. Let's go back to you.
Okay, that's fine because I can pick that up too because what I'm seeing is a similarity here. Right away, you said
Mhm.
challenge yourself.
Yeah.
And me too. And even today, when I'm working with clients, sometimes around challenging the expectation is I call it practice in the setting, like taking
Mhm.
one small step into whatever that scary thing is. So, like when I couldn't ride on a train,
Nice.
like going
Yeah.
from the suburbs to the city, I'd go to the
Mhm.
train station and sit in my car and watch the trains go by, and then I'd be on the
Nice.
right? Then I'd be out there right at the depot, and then
Mhm.
they would stop. It takes a few minutes to off and unload people. I would get
Mhm.
on and get off, and get on and get off, and
Gotcha.
not go anywhere. And then
Yeah.
eventually I take one stop. I'm like, okay, I can get through this. It's only one stop.
Nice.
And it,
Yeah.
it cost a lot, right? I was
Hmm.
anxious and sweaty and fearful, and but one stop became two, and two became
Hmm.
three,
Hmm.
right? And then yeah, so
Yeah. Yeah.
small steps.
And I remember talking about this earlier. We were going through, and I realized that in my challenges, I was actually going through, and if I feared something like raising my hand in class,
Mm,
then I challenged myself to actually raise my hand in class, even if I didn't know the answer, because I was fearful of it, and I needed to know what actually happened when I did raise my hand.
hmm.
And then realizing that sometimes that was easier than actually going through and worrying about it.
Oh, right. All the internal, what if I raise my hand, la 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 la, is
Yeah,
more overwhelming than just throw it up there
right,
sometimes.
right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
See what you mean.
And and I realized that I was using less brain process and other things like that by actually doing that, raising the hand. Um, then sitting there worrying about, are they going to call me? Are they going to, do this thing? Do I know enough information? Do I
Mm,
have all these anxious thoughts that were in my head?
that's it. Yeah, the
Yeah,
anxiety of shyness right there.
yeah,
Wow, that's interesting. So something I know we had in common is the amount of energy
hmm,
that all this takes,
hmm,
right? So if we can offer our listener who's going to consider taking small steps and challenges to reach a goal, like we're talking
hmm,
about,
hmm,
a sort of a reset for this
hmm.
to like, did you, were you like me in that when you did these challenges, sometimes were you exhausted afterwards? Like when you would put
Yes,
yourself through a
in
challenge?
some of them, yeah, in some of them I was exhausted. In other words, in other ones I would have elation, that, oh my gosh, I did it. And, you get the exciting thing going on. Um, so yeah, it was definitely both.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I definitely agree with what your conclusion was, um, which is, definitely, if we go through and we do these things, we have to respect ourselves
Mm.
and take time to relax and, acknowledge that we did that
Yeah.
and move forward.
Yeah. So cheering ourselves on and sharing that with someone who's supporting us would be a
Hmm.
really great way to help us continue to challenge
Yes.
and to restore, respect, rest ourselves because I don't
Hmm.
need to explain to anyone who's listening to us right now how much energy it takes.
Hmm.
Because you're just talking about the energy of avoidance was even bigger than the energy of trying the challenge out for a first time.
Oh yeah.
But they both take so much mental energy that it can be really exhausting. So I want to make sure that our listener takes care of themselves too after working through a challenge to get some rest and
Hmm.
relaxation. Because something that looks like no big deal for somebody else to do can sometimes take us a lot of energy to get through. And we don't want to burn out in the process of growing, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. So that's a
Yeah.
practical. Any last thoughts about the swimming upstream of getting through shyness and anxiety?
One of the things that we talked about, and I thought about kayaking and specifically whitewater rafting.
Mm,
Um, and one of the things I realized in whitewater rafting is that the river is flowing in one direction and you're floating along on top of it, right? You can make hard changes. You can put a lot of effort into moving over to a side or moving over to the other thing, but in actuality, the less you actually aim, the less you do, the more you flow with the river, and the easier it is to just go with it,
oh,
right?
I can feel that. I can feel
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So oh, okay. That's a great metaphor for dealing with the challenge and stepping up, stepping out of stuck one step at a time, right?
Hmm.
That's a great metaphor for it. See where the river is going and
Right.
let yourself go with the flow a little bit instead of trying to constantly work against it.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes just taking that little challenge
Mm.
and then, going through and it's the same as that little challenge is the same as a little bit of a movement
Yep.
instead of battling against the current.
Ah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think for our listener, we should leave it at that. And I think we've explored something we've thought about a lot. What's the difference between anxiety and shyness? And there are differences, but
Yes.
there's a lot of connections and they kind of hang together. So if you're having that experience, don't forget to breathe and be gentle with yourself in each step that you take, because each step you take is a huge leap forward.